Am I audible to each one of you at the back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, TEDxYouth, PoliceDAVJalandhar, for giving me this opportunity. Why is this happening to me? Why is my life? Questions were my daily prayers, and I would chant them every day. I still do, but there's a little twist to it now. I have my answers to them now. We were a family of 5, a very happy, cheerful, joyful, light family consisting of my grandfather, my father, my mother, my elder brother, and me. My dad was a hero to me. He was a very, very, very handsome Sardar. A true man in real senses. He was smart, intelligent, witty, kind, humble, modest, hardworking, and a legend in all. I was the closest to him. I still imagine him cooking in the kitchen on Sunday mornings. I wait for him to come around 8 in the evening, honking horns, calling me out to open the gates for him. I long to see him eating his 3 regular breads. I want him to narrate our stories and incidents and make us laugh. Every brave walk of life was taught to me by my father. Right from menstruation to rape culture, he taught me everything from both a man's and a woman's point of view. He wanted his daughter to be the strongest. He wanted his daughter to be strong and independent enough to deal with everything life will and may throw her into. I still remember when he'd come back home from his work, he'd remove his turban and place it on my head every day. I was very young to understand its magnitude then, but now I do. I do understand now. By doing so, he was telling me that you are no less than a man, and this turban is equally your pride, which you have to look after. This turban is equally your pride, which you have to look after with utmost integrity, and of course, with the head held high. On January 10, 2011, my father met with an accident. He was critically injured and had no much time left. When we got a call which said this, I remember my mother running out on streets barefooted, crying and banging every door of the locality, seeking help. My brother was just 18 and he could barely reckon what happened. My dad was in coma for 72 hours, that is 3 days. On 3rd day, I was allowed to see him. When I went into the ICU, my heart left my body. I could not believe that that was my father because he was always smiling, and over there then, he was so silent, so motionless, and so senseless. I was told he could listen to us, so I had a word with him. I said, "You promise us movies every weekend, but never take us. Also, you didn't bring us ice cream on your way back home." I bent a bit to have a look at his right side, and the sight was dreadful. His red eye was scary, the skin was peeled off, and there was a big patch of blood jammed and clotted. I could not see that for any longer, so I decided to leave. I told him that I'm going for now, but I'm gonna come see him the other day. And when I said this, I held his hand, and I saw him opening his eyes. I was so confused. I came out running. I told my mother of what happened exactly in the room. The doctors came to me and said, "Your dad loves you the most. Many talked to him in these 3 days, but it was you who made him open his eyes." My dad survived the treatment for 13 days, and as I mentioned earlier, he was a hard-working struggler. He even started to recover a little bit. A huge wave of happiness rushed through our family, hoping that he will make up for life back again, but he could not fight any longer, and on January 23rd, he breathed his last. I was only 14 when I saw my daddy passing away. There was a huge, immense stress in our family for obvious reasons, that there was a lot of destruction to fix and a lot of shattered pieces to collect. But I want to thank the strong lady of the house, my mother, who was a wife. Who was a wife for 20 long years, who was was just a homemaker for 20 long years to this conservative man and family who barely had the liberty to go to her mother's place and see her, was stepping out, making money, paying bills, paying pending debts and loans, managing relationships, feeding us with great food, giving us best education, and raising us right. My brother was a young little boy, and in and overnight, he grew up into a man. I saw this all. Puberty had just hit me. My body was undergoing chemical changes. My heart wanted to speak. My brain wanted to address. My feelings needed some voice. But I did not want to share anything of this with my family. I did not find comfortable talking about this with anyone in the house because this little child did not want it to add on to their already existing heavy baggages. But since every heart wants love, I craved for love too, and I started to find love from people outside. Many promised me love, but not all of them meant or kept their promises. We meet people and share our vulnerabilities with them, and the worst thing they can do, being human beings, is mock you for your fears, catch your weaknesses, and wound exactly at the areas where you are hurt the most. We talk to people in the hope that we will feel lightened, but it's the other way around mostly. In grade 10th, I tried to rip my wrist apart twice. I attempted suicide twice. I was feeling lonely, emptied, hollow. I just wanted to go back to my father. I was a confused and an unstable teen. I knew everything, but I still knew nothing. I hated to see people leaving me once they're done benefiting themselves in all the possible ways. The hypocrisy of our society is pretty funny, I would say. They want you to be strong, but when you're strong, they feel insecure. When they feel insecure, they want to satisfy their egos, and to satisfy their egos, they speak ill about you. They want you to come up openly with whatever it is, a yes or a no, but when you actually stand bravely against them and say a no, they cannot take it. They say they appreciate truth, but they are offended by honesty and transparency. My search for love continued for 8 long years, and I finally thought that I found one. On July 31, 2017, I met this guy and I fell in love gradually. It was very casual initially, but the more I would meet him, the more I would incline towards him. I thought he loved me too, but what I call love was basically domination. It was all scenic and beautiful initially, but it turned out monstrous apparently. The man's few habits matched exactly with my father, and those habits were all to have me submitted. I became emotionally dependent, and the fear of losing him resided within me on a permanent address. I opened every page of my story. My soul and my heart were there unwrapped, waiting for him to hold them with the utmost supreme delicacy and gently. But it was toxic. It was toxic for me and my family, especially my mother. My mother thought that she had lost her daughter forever. The man would make me submit to him, beg to him, cry, suppress, and ultimately kill my existence. Twice every month, I would be at his feet, crying for 2 to 3 hours, begging to him and telling him not to go anywhere because I am afraid to lose someone who I thought was my father in disguise. But the man would never pick me up or even wipe my tears off. He would never do any of these things. But I still wanted to marry him. Let me tell you, it was an abuse on all grounds. It was emotionally tiring, mentally exhausting, and physically violent. But I still wanted to marry and spend the rest of my life with him because, one, he said, I will never let you miss your father. I'm gonna be your husband and a son to your mother. 2, I thought that I would finally get to speak the word dad to his father after marrying him. 3, I loved him. I introduced him to my mother and I told my family about him, though no one in my family really liked my choice and decision, but I still stood strong and tall like a tree. On our last day of togetherness, as I stated, I was always begging. Even then I was begging to him, telling him not to go. But the man spoke a few things to me, and those words gave my dead self-respect life back again. It happened to be like that we met after 2 months, after a gap of 2 months. We didn't communicate in those 2 months. And after 2 months when we met, the guy wanted to check my phone. I resisted, but I showed anyway. Because he said, if you don't show me your phone, I'm gonna leave you here and never look at you back again. I was afraid. The trauma ran in my veins. I showed him my phone. He saw a few chats, a few conversations. Girls up here, guys up here. Do you have friends from mixed genders? Yes. Right? Girls talk to boys, guys talk to girls. That's normal, I guess, right? Right. The guy saw the phone. There were a few chats with my friends who were my boys, and they were very normal chats. In those chats, his name was mentioned. And not only his name was mentioned, it was clearly told that there is this boy whom I love the most. Still, he could not take this thing. I don't know why. Maybe he wanted to leave, and he did that. When I wanted to see his phone, he never wanted that to happen. He never wanted that to happen. But still I managed to have a hold on his phone, and I saw a few chats in those 1 to 2 minutes. It was my second day of menstruation. I was bleeding heavily, and due to endometriosis, which is an ovarian problem, my pains and my pangs are not normal. They are intense, and the man knew. But the madman, this time, turned violent. He pushed me in those pains, in those bleeding fluids. He pushed me and snatched his phone and asked me to get out of his car. While sending me out of the car, he said, I don't want you as my wife. Your father is not here, you are lucky. You are tinting your family's reputation, and finally you're going to tint my family's reputation. Also, he compared me to some girl. Well, that's a different story. I thought of getting out of the car, and that was an end to it. I never thought of coming back to him ever in my life, though he still stayed here every day. I might have got depression since darkness has become my ultimate friend. But my mother's mere presence was enough to get me going. She was here, bringing me fruits, bringing me juices, bringing me everything. I got fever, I was bedridden for 10 days, my platelets had reduced, and my mother was working for me. And I told myself that, Karman, she needs you. You're the only one she has, and you ain't going anywhere for a man who judged you for staying with you and who knew exactly who you are really for 15 long months. You ain't gonna leave your mother for that man. Our society constantly fails to understand that friendships are based on heart, the niceness of heart, the trueness of heart, the bond, the connection, and it has nothing to do with genders. Because guess what? It is the same heart in a girl's body, in a guy's body, in a transgender body, and in a gay body. Heart is the basis of every human and humanity. Bodies come later. If someone is having a difficult time with you living freely, it's their problem to deal with. It's their insecurity to deal with. It's they who have no confidence in them. It's they who have trust issues. Of course you can help them. But if they don't want to be helped, you cannot do anything about it. Your journey towards self-love begins when you stop doubting yourself. Self-doubt is the biggest taboo on your way towards anything. And let me bust this theory for you. If any one of you here is doubting, you are just as important as all of those people who believed you with anything. You are existing like other trillions of people, walking on the same land, under the same roof, drinking the same water, with the same heart, in the similarly structured body, and you are the fathers of the same child. What brings you doubts then? What do you shame yourself for? The sizes of the car, the amount in banks? I'll take a minute here, sorry. Where do you go when you want to know something about a person, particularly to them? Where would you go if you want to know about yourself, to your own self? This all background noise is going to fade away one thing. One time, it's just gone. It's you who's the performer of your life. It's you who sings the lyrics of your song. It's you who knows you exactly who you are. People are gonna say thousands of things about you, but it's all background noise. This wonder doesn't really happen overnight. I was not one depressed woman one night and a positive woman the other day. Patience is the virtue. I stayed patient to know the workings of the universe, of the people around me, and about me. This is what I want to tell you, that everything which goes in and around you is centered within you. Why do I have to be sad about myself for anything? I was nice to people, I helped them. Do I have reasons to be sad about myself? Exactly not. I've always been there whenever they needed me, financially, physically, emotionally, mentally, whenever and however. Even at the odd hours, 2 in the morning, 2 in the noon, I was there with them. Did any one of them stood with me when I needed them in my harsh times? No. Who was supposed to be sad about themselves, me or they? I have achieved positivity, peace, stability, management, control of my responses and reactions, and I have served the purpose of being a human being and this life. Name, fame, money, this is all secondary. After 9 years when I sit in my room and I ask myself, I know what life had for me and why this all happened to me. Thank you.